We're going to take a look at some of the key concepts from Chapter 5, which is children as a special audience in media. And start with this question: why treat children as a special audience? Well, obviously, lack of experience. They don't have the experience to have developed any media literacy skills, but also lack of maturation, which includes cognitive development, emotional development, as well as moral development. And as an example, let's take a look at the cognitive development when it comes to watching television. So at about 6 months is when a baby will first pay any attention at all to television, where they'll actually look at it, listen to it, even if it's just, for 10, 15 seconds, whatever it might be. It's at about 3 years old, and it varies a little bit from child to child, but approximately 3 years old when they become exploratory and they might start actually seeking out to be able to watch television. And they tend to be action focused. That is to say, things that have a lot of movement or flashing lights or sounds, music. Those would be things that would tend to get their attention. At 4 years old, they may develop a search mode. That is, they may actually start seeking out something specific. If they want to watch Sesame Street and make the effort to try to find it, or ask a parent to help them find it. It's around 8 to 10 years old where they really begin to understand the concept of plots and what a storyline is, and to get a little bit more of an understanding of characters and their different traits. And then it's in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 years old when they get a rudimentary idea of the economic nature of TV. For example, that they begin to understand that commercials are something that are paid for, and that those commercials are designed to try to sell things. Hello, Darwin. All right, let's talk a little bit about special treatment of children from regulators, including protecting children from negative TV content. Congress has passed no regulations on media violence in 50 years, well over 50 years, actually. So it's not something that there has been a lot of, the regulation. They have asked TV specifically to do some self-regulation, the industry itself, by having something called the Family Hour. This is something that was developed decades ago when there really was just a handful of broadcast networks, even before there was cable TV. But the idea was the Family Hour would be from 7 to 8 p.m. And during that time, the stations were asked to just show family friendly programming. But it wasn't enforced in any way. They were just asked to do that. And so obviously when cable TV came on, that became even harder, that especially shows that were designed to be shown at night are now available during the day. And of course, now that there's streaming video, you can access anything at any time. And so this is not a very effective approach. The Telecommunications Act introduced something called the V chip, V for violence. And what the V chip is, and it's used in other technologies, but what the idea behind this is that it gives parents a way to set up something on the television so children can't access certain programming. That you could set it up so your kids can't access a program that's not rated for, that is rated for ages over 10 years old or 12 years old or whatever it might be. And it's not a very effective either for a couple of reasons. One, most parents don't use it. And two, kids can override it. I want to show you just a little clip of this video on YouTube.
I'm going to show you how to reset the V chip on Toshiba television.
Sense of what this is about. In this video, the child is
hold down the 0 key,
making a video for other children on how to override the V chip.
Hold down the 0 key on the remote while I'm still holding down the volume control with the volume set to 0. The menu will appear with the options tab selected and V chip selected there. See, menu exited. But
so you get the idea that it's not very effective because it's easy for kids to get past it. And so here's a kid making a video for other kids that anyone could pull up on YouTube on how to get past that technology. And the FCC does have the right and ability, the FCC being the Federal Communications Commission, to regulate indecent material like sexual content and foul language. But as we know, that there's still a lot of freedom there. And again, especially with when cable was introduced, and even more when video is now available on the internet, that there's not a lot that stops kids from being able to access a lot of things. In terms of advertising, a few things that regulators have done is, first of all, limiting the ad time in children's programming on commercial TV. They limit it to 12 minutes an hour on weekdays and 10.5 minutes an hour on weekends. And then also they work to have a clear separation between programming, content, and advertising. So again, with that cognitive development, the idea is kids aren't necessarily able to tell when they're younger the difference between when they're watching a show and when they're watching a commercial. So one of the things they did is they asked TV stations to have a bumper, something that would help the kids recognize, okay, the show's stopping and the commercial's beginning, and the other way around. So let me show you just a couple quick examples of that.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Yeah.
So the idea there is that it'll give the sense for the kids, or at least a clue to the kids, that, okay, the program's ending, we're moving on to a commercial. And then oftentimes when the commercials end and it'll be time for the show to come back, said, okay, we're back, and it would help kids make that distinction. The other example here is host selling prohibited. In other words, when you have a kid show that has a host, they cannot, as a part of the program, try to sell things. Now, this clip is from a show called Captain Kangaroo, and before that rule was put into effect.
If you'll be watchful, you'll see the captain give me a bowl full of Kellogg's Rice Krispies.
Why, I'd be delighted, Mr. Moose.
And if you listen carefully, you'll hear those nourishing bubbles of toasted rice go snap, crackle, pop when they meet the milk.
Listen, I can hear them talking.
I think they're trying to tell you something.
What's that?
I think they're saying, have a rice day, Captain.
So the idea is that Captain Kangaroo and Mr. Moose are main characters on this show, and if they're selling something, kids aren't going to understand that that's what's going on, that they're basically seeing an advertisement. So that was prohibited. In terms of the way that parents treat kids, obviously one of the tools that is designed to help parents is the rating systems, and I'm sure you're familiar with these. This is the rating system for movies. This is for television, and it goes into a lot more detail in terms of age, parental guidance, and then even specific types of content. Has violence, sexual situations, language, suggestive dialogue, fantasy violence. And so they're trying to give parents information to help them make choices about what their kids can and can't watch. And then video game regulations, which again is something that's useful when parents want to enact that regulation. I'm not sure how much they do that. And of course, now that so many video games are available online or for download, it's not nearly as effective as opposed to, a few years ago when parents would take the kids to the store and they would buy a PlayStation 2 disc or whatever, and the parents would be able to look at those ratings on the cover of it. Co-viewing is a very helpful thing, and co-viewing is just very simply the parents sitting down and watching that program, that online video, whatever it is, with the child. And the more involved, the better. If the child and the parent are engaging in conversation, asking them, what do you think is going to happen next? Do you think it was fair for the mouse to do that to the cat or whatever? That it certainly can help in terms of the children understanding what they're watching, thinking about it, developing their cognitive skills. It's a very helpful thing. Very few parents do it. And of course, one of the problems is that many parents themselves are not very media literate. So if you don't have good media literacy skills, you're not going to be able to teach it to your kids. And so overall, what parents do, the research has shown, is not very effective. That most kids are getting access to things that maybe the parents would want them to get access to, and they're not doing a really good job in helping kids develop their media literacy skills. So that's just a quick look at some of the concepts in Chapter 5. As you read it, there'll be much more information about the development and the types of regulations. So if you have any questions or comments, always feel free to send me an email, and thanks for watching.